Hi, and welcome to the flexibility sequence. So this sequence is all about teaching you to progressively move deeper into flexibility. This first video is going to cover a lot of the basics. If you're already advanced, just stay with me through this first video, and then we're going to progress through the videos past that. But this first video, I want to drive home the importance of finding your alignment first and finding a balanced sensation or stretch. So if you're the type of person who tends to be able to really go after things, you're a go-getter, you go hard at work, you go hard in the gym, you go hard, whatever you're doing, you're giving it 100%. If you bring that same mentality into your stretching, you're going to end up causing more resistance. So the Yoga Sutras suggest that when we're practicing a pose, when we're practicing moving into flexibility or sustaining a pose, that there should be a balance of effort and surrender. So there should be this, maybe the way one of my teachers put it so well, this is a really great indicator to give you like a concrete example, is on a scale of 1 to 10, you should be at about a 5 on effort. You shouldn't be pushing up into 7, 8, 9, 10. Now let me explain to you why anatomically that's significant. So we know that if you're in a more balanced state while you're in this stretch, you're going to be fostering a calmer mental state. You'll also be able to breathe. So energetically it's important for you, but it's also important anatomically, because what happens is when you go into a stretch, for example, let's say you're practicing Uttanasana and you're thinking like, oh, my hamstrings are really tight, but I want to reach the floor, and you're reaching to the floor. What happens is that your nervous system is being cued to start to create strain. So your nerves are straining, and then your muscles are fighting back. So as you're doing that the whole time, you're creating more muscular resistance. It's the opposite of what you're trying to do. So if you're always stretching like that, sometimes people will say like, no matter how much I stretch, I don't get more flexible. What I would encourage you to do is to back out of it, feel that sense of ease so that the nervous system feels like you're more relaxed in the stretch. Then what will happen is the muscles will start to release into their length. Now we know that for the health of a muscle, it needs to be able to contract and release all the way. So I don't want you to be only focused on stretching. I want you to be focused on strengthening just as much, which is why I really recommend that in addition to this series, you also watch the strengthening and posture correcting series. Super important. These two go hand in hand, and this will help to give you a full picture of the practice. Anyways, while we're at it today, I'm going to suggest that you have 2 blocks. I'll also be using the wall a little bit. So let's just get started with a little child's pose variation. So the first thing that I want you to do in child's pose is to lift yourself way out of the child's. So you're going to put a tall block in front of you. Then you're going to lower your forehead onto this block, and you're going to feel the sense of elongation that comes through your spine when your head is lifted up like this. Also, I want you to feel how you're going to have more access to rotating your shoulders like we want to practice. So the hands are down in front of you, press into the 4 corners of your hands, open up your hands big, and then instead of your shoulders sneaking into your ears, wrap the outer shoulders down towards the floor. Reach into the hands from the outer armpits. Draw from the inner arms back into the socket. And then with your forehead down, just feel how nice this feels for your spine. It feels like your spine can release into its length. Without gravity forcing, compressing the discs, now it feels like as you breathe, feel that space that can come in your spine as you breathe. Now move the block to the side for a moment and just let your head drop to the floor. And you feel your shoulders, they rotate in, you lose all that space. Oh man, it would be nice if you could maintain that space. So you can find, where's the sweet spot? Is it a medium block? Is it a flat block? Is it a tall block? And I'm just going to ask you to practice that for a few more breaths. And then walk your hands back towards you. Then come up to stand. And then let's go over to the wall. For down dog, what? Down dog at the wall? What the hell kind of shenanigans is this? Okay, so sometimes this is called puppy dog instead of down dog. Oh, Ollie, the puppy dog. There he is. Okay, so I'm gonna take my hands right about waist height, turn the hands out slightly so I can find the external rotation, and then I just kind of walk my feet back towards the middle of the room. So important is that I'm not letting my middle drop at all, and I'm reaching into the hands and finding the same rotation that I had in child's pose. And then I want to access that same sense of ease and elongation of the spine. You might even have to bend your knees to get the same length. If when you go to straighten your legs, your spine pops up, then you can bend your knees to get the spine to lengthen. Reach your outer hips, stretch your buttocks towards out of your lower back, and then reach from your outer arms into your hands. Now just feel your breath moving. And then walk your feet back towards the wall. So how nice did that opening feel? It felt like you could breathe, everything felt nice and open, and you felt like the stretch was coming well. Now I want you to see if you can find that same sense of ease on blocks with your hands. So for sure your arms are working a little more, so you might feel more intensity in your arms, but I want you to feel the same sense of being able to elongate the spine that you had at the wall. If your legs are shaking, your spine is going to hell, then it's better to work with your hands at the wall, or an intermediate step would be if you had a chair, you put your hands on a chair seat and then walk back. Okay, then inhale into plank pose. If you're at the wall, walk to the wall and walk the hands up. And then back into the dog pose. Inhale into the plank pose. If you're at the wall, it looks like this. And then back into down dog. 2 more times. Back into the plank. And back into dog. Then come back up. Now everyone, make your way over to the wall. Stand with your hands shoulder distance. Walk the hands up. Then press the hands into the wall like in child's pose and rotate the outer shoulders towards the wall. Then plug your middle back in, knit the front ribs back in and down away from the wall, and then see if you can walk closer into the wall while still rotating the outer shoulders down. And feel this nice stretch that comes through the side body, side ribs, armpit, chest. Then bring your hands back down. Walk up to the front of your mat. When you go to take your arms up, be mindful, try to create that same feeling like when you're at the wall. Your front ribs knit in and down away from the wall, and then you're stretching and opening up the tension in your armpits. Now without the wall, you're having to work more because you're holding your arms up. Can you feel that same sense of ease, even if you don't take the arms as far back? Reach into the 4 corners of your feet. Then bring your arms back down at your side. Balance yourself so that your ankles, hips are over your ankles, shoulders are over your hips, and ears are up over your shoulders. Find your mountain pose. Back against the wall feeling. Again, take your arms forward, raise your arms up. Good, then bring your arms to your side. With a little bend in your knees, tip from your hips and start to fold forward. Rest your hands onto blocks. Then as you inhale, come up into a flat back. So what I've found is that most backs don't want to go into this flat back position. Most backs kind of look like this. So I encourage you to bend your knees significantly and come up high enough so that you can really get this flat back sensation. And as I mentioned in all the videos, all of these series, it's really good to train these movements in front of a mirror so you can see what your body's doing, because you don't have me there to look at you and go, oh, it doesn't look anything like it's supposed to look, or something like that, something negative to make you feel bad about yourself. No, that's not the point. But to help to steer you in the right direction. So we need that guru, we need that teacher. So for you, it can be the mirror. Look in the mirror and see if what you're thinking is happening is actually happening. And then as you soften your belly back towards your spine, fold forward, keeping that little bend in the knees. So with this bend in the knees, now I want you to see if you can start to stretch your legs towards straight, still keeping the sensation that the hamstrings are stretching even. You haven't locked the legs so that just part of the hamstrings are stretching. Then inhale, come back into the flat back. Exhale into your hamstring stretch. Inhale into the flat back. Exhale into your stretch. Now eventually you'll be able to do this fingertips on the floor, finding the flat back. But with all things, be patient, and just remember you're working for that even stretch. So if your fingertips to the floor, your back is hunched, you're pulling, that's no good for the nerves. You're never going to get more flexible. You have to prop to get the essence of the pose so that your body learns from it. It can start to integrate the practice. Okay, so from here, step back onto your hands and your knees. Then decide what height that you'd like to practice your your downward facing dog, whether it's against the wall, on medium blocks, flat blocks, or hands on the floor. Whatever you can do to get this inverted V shape. Now also notice that I'm trying to create one long line from my wrist to my outer hip and from my ankles to my hips. I'm pulling up and stretching. Rotate the shoulders like we practice in child's. And then wherever you're at, find that sense of ease. If you can't find that sense of ease in the one you're at, back up a step. Go up a notch higher. Go over to the chair, hands on a chair, stretching the hips back, or hands on the wall. Then lie down onto your belly. Place your hands next to your side ribs. Press the tops of your feet down and spin your outer thighs down towards the floor. Now, really important when you're stretching and starting to come into a back bend is that you teach your core and your legs to turn on. So here, I want you to feel as you press the right foot down, engage your quad, engage your hamstring. Now firm your buttock straight down towards your heel. Don't squeeze the buttock in towards the midline, just squeeze it straight down. And then do the same with your left. Squeeze the quad, squeeze the hamstring, squeeze the buttock straight down. When you do that, you'll feel your abdominals draw up, and then from there, we're gonna start to roll ourselves up into this thoracic extension. Squeeze that buttock down though, otherwise it's gonna bite in the low back. Find the sense of ease. Lower yourself back down, come up, and stretch back. Now go to the place where you can keep the rotation of the arms and the length of the spine. It's gonna be different for everybody. Come up onto your hands and your knees, and then stretch back into your downward facing dog. Walk your feet forward. Inhale into a flat back. Exhale, fold. Roll yourself up to stand. Find your mountain pose. Stack yourself right up over your ankles. Then turn to your right and take your legs wide apart. Spread your arms out. Okay, now I want to cover this idea of dynamic expansion, expanding from your middle. So bring it all back together. As you stand in mountain, I want you to feel that from your navel, you could open your body. From your navel, you could stretch down into your feet. And from your navel, you could draw up so that your spine is tall. Now, I want you to think of the back of the navel actually. Like if your navel could grow roots into the front of your spine. So now when you stretch, reach through the hips from the front of the spine down into the feet, and then from the front of the spine, grow tall up through your shoulders and your chest. In the back of the spine, I want you to feel that there's a horizontal spread across that same corresponding just below the navel especially. When you go to take your legs wide apart, keep this feeling that you're being wrapped in towards the middle. The lower back is spreading horizontally, and then from the navel, spine down, you're reaching into the feet and drawing up into the chest. So it's not about just how much can I open this way, it's also how much can I open up through my back body. So this is an important pose. My teacher would teach this pose and she would say, this is a pose too. You have to be able to stand in this pose and figure this out first. Reach into the four corners of your feet. Feel that navel-centric standing pose. Then bring your arms down and turn your left leg in a little, turn your right leg out 90 degrees. Feel just to do that, everything wanted to pop back out. So navelize the pose again, is that a word? Open up from the lower back, and then slowly start to bend that right knee, tracking the knee with the second, third toe. As you plug in from the navel and find the dynamic expansion from your center, spread your arms out. Breathe all the way down into your belly. Do we even talk about breathing yet? Oh my God. Breathing, this is yoga, this is important. Okay, each time you breathe, make sure that you're taking full deep breaths. Instead of little shallow breaths, that sense of ease that we created in the child's, it should make it feel like you can breathe all the way down into your belly. Come back up and change sides. As you press into the four corners of your back foot, bend the left leg. Oh, but feel, just to bend that leg, how the belly wanted to push out. So feel from the navel spine, you're scraping up towards your chest and releasing down into your feet. And the back body is open, is spreading horizontally. And what I find is this limits how far I can go into the pose. But I'm actually feeling a stretch in places where I wouldn't normally feel. So I'm getting these parts of my hip, my hips. Did I already say hips? My hips to open up that wouldn't normally open up. So each time you do the pose like that, you're just stretching into your tendons and you're not getting the muscles to open up. You never get more flexible doing it like that. Come back up, turn the legs to the other side, bend the right leg, feel the navel supporting you, tip over, forearm to thigh, and arm over. But it's not how much it's can I stay plugged in from here and then feel the real stretch, the actual stretch. And then breathe. So you go to that place where you feel the initial barrier. That's what you feel in the stretch. It'll feel like I've hit a wall. And just be there and breathe. Don't try to jam past the wall. Come back up and change sides. Plug in from your center. Then bend the leg. Tip over. Plug back in. Now visualize up and down your spine. We have different energy centers up and down the spine. Make sure that you're not closing off any of these centers. That there's a nice free flow of energy up and down your spine. Come back up. Turn your toes in so your feet are parallel. Then bring your legs together. So now let's practice depth. Let's see if we can go a little bit deeper without losing that navel-centric focus and while still maintaining the breath. So we're going to try to go into tall blocks for this round. We're going to see if we can still find that same sense of ease and the integrity that we found with the leg, arm on the knee. Turn your legs to the right. Plug in from your navel as you bend the knee. Then tip out and place your elbow onto your leg for just a moment. And then you're gonna have to drop the thigh a little deeper now to get the hand to the block. But make sure that the lower back didn't crunch in to do that. You can still plug the navel in so that you feel the stretch in your hips. You can feel that opening. Then take your arm over. Now, just for shits and giggles, let's see what happens if we go, then I'm closing this energy center in my chest. I feel a deeper stretch, but I can't breathe. That's not gonna be good for me. Okay, this is the sweet spot where I can feel the deep stretch, I can feel my breath. Come back up and change sides. If you're not sure, you can always look in the mirror while you do it. And if you start to collapse in the pose, that's a sign that the breath isn't moving. Breath won't move through collapsed poses. And come back up. Then parallel your feet, hands to your hips, tip from your hips, set your fingertips down. Again, bend the knees just slightly so you can find that length of your spine. Now it might be a little deeper with your fingertips on the floor, or you might use a block and just do the micro bend. Whatever you gotta do to get that long spine, flat back sensation. Open up the soles of your feet, open up the four corners of your feet, and breathe there. Now see if you can put your hands down and still breathe. And you're not struggling, it's not going up to, are you up at a 7? Are you going up into 8? Ooh, better mellow it out a little bit, go back to 5. Be at your 5, be at the middle way. And then come back up, step your legs together. Namaste. So thank you so much for joining me in today's video. This first video, this is about setting the guidelines for the practice. As we get into the next videos, these videos will go right into practices that you should be doing. But I wanted to dedicate this first video just to explain the philosophy and the theory of the style of yoga that I teach. So what we do is we bring you away from the floor a little bit so you can find that sense of ease. It's really about moving past ego, because our ego always wants us to go deeper, do more. And when we do that in yoga, we end up getting in trouble. That's just what I found, and it's what a lot of my teacher friends have found over time, is that you end up burning out joints in your body. So it's kind of like this, what happens is the ego burns us out. When we get into that in our practice, no good things come from it. So I want you to just practice this humility and backing off and finding the opening in all the poses. Thanks so much for joining me in this series, and I hope that you're going to be able to benefit from these practices like I have. I hope that you're going to get a deeper connection to your body, this mind-body connection, and I hope that as you become more aware through your movements, that just changes your interactions with people, how you conduct yourself, and really your whole life, that you start to get this new lens just through your practice. One day at a time, you start to make healthier decisions for yourself each day. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.